So you didn't get a lot of sleep, huh?
No, I haven't slept. I didn't sleep that night. Night before was Chris Christie's. Night before that, it was Nick Daly. I mean,
you're just being haunted by Republican presidential candidates
in fishnets dancing the.
They're all doing it in a Kathy shirt. All of them.
Kathy. One of them was that old lady who had that old lady with the big glasses, and one of them was Dog Bert.
You guys should really check the Y out to see if you guys got like a carbon monoxide leak or something. This doesn't.
Yeah, well, they don't let me at the Y anymore. I'm at the X now.
I'm sorry, what?
The X. It's the one that's kind of like further back in the alley, and it's where all the pipes is. Yeah.
You mean the annex?
Annex. It might actually be a.
Are you just squatting?
Listen. It's warm, and even though it's wet, and even though I have to pull the fungus off me in the morning because I'm actually a really good surface for things to grow on.
I believe that.
But it's in some ways it's better because I don't have to be around all of those assholes going, hey, I saw you leave that bathroom and not wash your hands. I saw you, stare at that lady's cleavage while she was trying to exercise. And I just said, listen, you're going to police my eyes, Rosie Robots?
Right. I thought it was fun to stay at the YMCA.
This is what Will Smith was talking about when he delivered that amazing speech that night he won the Academy Awards. Well, he said...
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
He said, keep my wife's name out your fucking robots.
Nope, that's not what he said. You're conflating two things. He was an iRobot.
I get all my news a year late. It's just what happens.
I don't think that's
true.
What
my subscription policy is that I get all the cable channels, but I get them a year late. They got to bounce.
Where are you getting cable channels?
The radio signals got to bounce out into space. They got to hit Uranus, and then they got to come back this way. So it's like, that's the only way I can watch wrestling, Ina Garten, and Bosnian war footage. That's on like at the same time. Well, it's all overlapped.
And you're doing this in the alley?
Not only do I know how to make an unmarked grave, I know how to make a delicious Brussels sprouts.
I'm sorry. What?
Bobby, can we get started?
Are you going to stay fucking awake?
I mean, that's the thing. I'm really fucking tired, Bobby.
You know you can sleep here. I've told you that before. I don't understand.
Where am I going to sleep, Bobby? In the same bed, cuddle with you as a little spoon? You want to be my big spoon, Bobby?
You could sleep on a couch.
You got a couch?
You don't got a couch. Well, it's kind of like it's like a futon with some plywood. It's not really a futon anymore. I have a couch.
I don't got to sleep standing up no more.
Why have you been sleeping standing up?
Because I haven't had any horizontal surfaces.
The ground?
The ground is not a surface.
Neither is a fucking wall.
Listen, you're arguing with someone who hasn't slept for 4 days.
I don't think we're arguing, but yeah.
I feel like you're antagonizing me.
I'm not.
And frankly, Bobby, I didn't want to say anything, but it has been something I noticed where you've been kind of rude to me. You're kind of a piece of shit. Lately, not like you as a person. I'm just the way your attitude is, the way that you regard me as a human being and your best friend.
If you want to go back to sleep, you're more than welcome to. I'll just do this by myself, I guess, Teddy. Here I am offering you a place to stay. You're gonna call me a piece of shit.
I didn't mean that.
I'm sorry that I questioned you sleeping standing up. Like you're saying it like it's just normal knowledge.
Bobby, you gotta understand, I am in the middle of Act 2 of my own possession story. Okay, I'm in the middle of running tests on Reagan's and the Exorcist.
Is this the Peruvian Deity shit?
It might be.
Okay, well my dog keeps pissing all over the floor.
Yeah.
Whenever you walk in the room now. So
I heard your dog speak Farsi.
No, that's not true.
I heard it.
No.
I heard a dog speaks Farsi.
Well, hold on. I have been listening to the audiobook of Kite Runner to fall asleep, so that could be part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But he shouldn't be talking, so I guess that is a problem.
Yeah. That book had more rape than it did kites. I never saw one picture of a kite.
Nah, the first time the kid gets raped, he's going to get a kite.
He gets raped.
He's the kite runner, You got to run to go get the kite when it flies away. I don't actually remember now. Why are the kites flying away? I thought you were supposed to hold it.
Well, and also, I don't
remember. Yeah, he got going to get the kite.
If you want to read 300 pages about fucking polyurethane and kids getting raped in the desert, I recommend reading the Bible. You remember? Oh God. I remember I was doing a casting call. It was like it was early stages of the Zack Snyder movie, Owls of Gahool. And I remember I was really
Guardians of Gahool.
I was really gunning to be Gaganga, the bowl stirring owl. That's the one where they're like a sous chef in the owl kitchen.
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
That makes sense. Yeah, no shit.
Fuck those owls. I didn't want to work with no owls anyway. Listen, bulls and owls go back hand in hand ever since the dawn of time. They're spelled with the same letters. Of course you're going to have someone.
No, they're not.
B-O-L-W, Bobby.
Oh, bulls. I thought you were talking about the animal bulls and you're just dumb.
Bulls? No.
Bulls.
There's no owls in Madrid.
Yeah, you can't spell bull without owl, I guess. Good fucking point.
You know, Gene Stapleton once said, find me the back of a man's head and I will find you a map to his bed. You know what I mean?
Right. I can find Jeff Bridges in any piece of wood.
I can find Jeff Goldblum at the bottom of the toilet when I look in there. And it's one of those things
Your
where
poops look like Jeff Goldblum?
Well, I let all the elements swirl and then I put, I have got a salt shaker of some fish food in there and my poopies start going after it. You know, that's the thing about poop. Poop can become food again. You just have to have to give it time.
Nope.
No, it's true.
No, what are you, fermenting your shit?
Your poop has a memory of what it once was, and you gotta
reverse engineer your poop.
You don't gotta do anything except just play the frequencies that are on YouTube. You gotta feed it some fish food, and then just watch it all come back together. I've seen it turn into a brown banana before.
And you wonder why shit grows on you, like.
Well,
what are you doing over here?
Back in my day,
you know that thing where I said you could stay here on the couch? I rescind that. What are you doing with? Where's your little poop farm at, Teddy?
Listen, there's something to be said about the age of old and what they used to call people wizards. Just like Martin Luther King was a wizard.
Nope.
Just like
what were you about to say?
Just like the KKK has got grand wizards. The civil rights movement had chocolate wizards.
All right, well, here we are, episode 6.
Episode 6. Episode 6. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this journey, for joining us. We get ready for the thrilling episode. We're going to be talking about lots of exciting things. What are we going to talk about, Mommy?
We're talking about Burke in this episode.
We're talking about Burke's trees.
Gassy.
No,
Burke.
Burke.
This is Burke's episode. Burke Ramsey, the older brother of JonBenét. The 9-year-old brother, one of the other, 4 people in the house that night.
Hey, what did the gassy dog say? He said, Burke. I'm just kidding, Bobby. We're talking about Burke Ramsey, JonBenét's 9-year-old brother, who's not 9 anymore. He's actually, how old would he be?
He's older.
He's older.
Yeah.
He's older than that. People grow up. When they're not dead, they keep alive. And
he's in his 30s now.
He's in his 30s.
Yeah.
He's
living a quiet life in Michigan, from what I understand.
He's in Michigan. And
very litigious. So we should probably put a disclaimer on this episode as well, that these are just the thoughts and opinions of 2 people who didn't go to college, and I was legally retarded for 6 years. So
listen, I'm allowed to have an opinion. I'm not a sheriff. Okay? I'm not the sheriff of Bottingham. I'm not Robin Hood. I'm not married Marion. What are we talking about?
We're talking about in case they try to sue us. Good luck finding us. Teddy doesn't have a fucking address.
I don't got any assets, Ava. Yeah. You know, how many cans of baked beans do you want?
It literally can't get any worse, so don't sue us.
I've been eating.
I mean, you could try to, but
beans.
These are just our opinions. So yeah, this episode's gonna be about
beans.
You're so sick of beans.
I've been eating beans a long time, Bobby.
Is that what that smell is?
It might be. It's just my smell now.
It's kind of coming out of your pores.
At a certain point, it's just too much. It's too much. It's too much beans.
Yeah, maybe just stop eating beans.
I'd love to stop eating beans.
Well, then do it. So, episode 6.
Episode 6.
Burke did it.
The Burke Theory.
The Burke Did It episode. EDI, as it's known on the JonBenét Ramsey subreddit.
Oh.
That means Burke did it. Before we get started with that, we're gonna do a new segment here, Teddy, because now we're on episode 6.
I know time.
So we've built up the smallest fucking following possible, but you know what? They're a good following, and they're
fans.
They're dedicated and they're passionate. And
these are the people. These are ride or die.
Right.
These are our bottom bitches.
So with that, well, no, I don't think actually, if you guys want that to be your name, please let us know in the comments. If you'd like to be known as the bottom bitches.
That's a good name,
right? So we're gonna do so with having people that are watching and listening. We also get a little segment I'm gonna start doing called fan mail.
Fan mail?
Question mark. I don't know. It seems like
it's not really male.
Yeah, well,
it might be female.
Yeah, well, it's like feedback and just comments and stuff. So
yeah,
I got a couple here. I'm Teddy. You got anything?
Oh yeah, I got some fan mail. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want me to
You go first.
You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right, so first fan mail goes out from OneSolvedMystery on YouTube. They wrote to us, the Ramseys had hosted a Christmas party at their house on the 23rd with around 30 friends, but they had not participated in the Boulder Christmas Homes Tour since 1994.
Oh.
So they didn't do a tour. So I guess that's technically a correction too. Well, in addition to fan mail,
they don't do a tour.
We led people to believe that it's like, there might have been a tour
when?
A couple days before. I don't fucking remember. Whatever episode he commented on.
Oh God, I should listen to the episodes.
Yeah. No. Well. Yeah.
We should just stop this episode now.
You got a lot of other shit to work out before you're thinking about spending leisure time listening to podcasts.
I definitely do.
But, okay, Unsolved Mystery does go on to write in that same comment.
Mm-hmm.
When you do your suspect episodes, please be certain to do disgruntled ex-Access Graphics employee and convicted felon embezzler. I might have to bleep that, I don't know. And self-proclaimed killer and hitman, David Cooper, a.k.a. Daryl Kirkwood. I believe they actually hold the keys that could finally solve this crime.
David Cooper, Sandra Bland.
Yeah, it's we'll limit saying her name because these are people. I don't think was actually. Anywho, so that was one comment from them.
Okay,
Unsolved Mystery. They did go on to comment on a different video for the premiere of the suspect episode.
2 comments.
Yeah.
Now that is one of Bobby's bottom bitches for facts, for real.
Unsolved Mystery goes on to write, make sure not to forget self-confessed killer hitman David Cooper, a.k.a. Daryl Kirkwood.
Duh.
For some reason, the Boulder PD chose to ignore that lead. Angry face emoji.
Well, see, now we got 2 people talking about David Cooper.
No, it's the same guy.
Oh,
he just kept telling us to make sure we do it.
Oh, so he just keeps writing on our videos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, the guy. What's his name?
Unsolved Mystery.
Unsolved Mystery. Disney's One Saturday Morning. Move aside. We got Unsolved Mystery.
There's a fan mail we got from Unsolved Mystery telling us to look into this Daryl Kirkwood guy for our Suspects episode.
Yeah.
We already did it, our Suspects episode. But because he wrote twice, I ended up looking into this theory. Mm-hmm. And it turns out Unsolved Mystery himself has
3-part documentary.
Reported this theory by, he's made a series on it. I looked into it, and he's basically saying that a man who said his name was David Cooper called John Ramsey in the year 2000. And he confessed to JonBenét's murder.
Oh.
But he asked for $3,000 to fly him and his family, for some reason, out to Boulder to go and meet with John and confess and shit. So this guy, he keeps asking John for money to fly him out there. He basically says he's not going to pay him, all right? So that guy, David Cooper, stops calling John. Later on, the people on John's team ended up tracking down who it was.
Yeah.
And so the cops ended up corroborating this too. Like the authorities tracked it down too. And it went to a Daryl Kirkwood in Indiana.
Daryl Kirkwood.
He was a known con man who was basically just trying to fleece John. Okay.
Oh, no.
And basically they found out that he was in prison at the time that JonBenét was murdered. So, not a suspect,
How are you going to kill? How are you going to get her from a basement to a prison and then back into a basement?
Right. And then, so this is where Unsolved Mystery purports his theory, which is maybe they got the wrong Daryl Kirkwood.
Oh.
And the only criminal history I could find on the guy that he's saying they got, because he's basically saying like this guy has a criminal past. The guy's got check fraud, like that's it. And that was like 2010. It just seems like he's doxing like an innocent person.
Oh.
But as if the authorities traced it to a Daryl Kirkwood, and they were like, instead of they just picked the wrong fucking Daryl Kirkwood, which is stupid. He's just assuming how he traced them is like, it was just a name, and then they looked in the phone book and was like,
the yellow pages.
Yeah, and they got it wrong. No, He's basically doxing an innocent man. It's a good documentary, though. Give it a watch. And also, I appreciate. Keep commenting. I did try to reach out to see if he would want to come on and talk about this.
I miss yellow paper.
We did not get any response.
Looks so good.
So, Daryl, the other Daryl Kirkwood, not a suspect.
No. He's been cleared.
Okay, so Teddy,
I love that song.
that was my fan mail that I got.
Okay.
You said you got something here for me?
Yeah, I do. I got. Yes, I do, Bobby. I've got fan mail right here. Hold on. I got it in my back pocket.
Wait, what?
Somebody
wrote you. Wait, how are you even getting mail? What?
Well, what do you think mail comes in?
An envelope. But where's your mailbox?
No, this was left on the door, the utility door.
Is this just somebody's
the pipe room?
What is this?
It says, I know you've been sleeping in there, and I know that I'm giving you 36 hours, which is about a day. I've got about a day. I'm giving you 36 hours to vacate these premises before I go to the authorities. And it's disgusting. We have cameras that have seen everything you're doing, and you shouldn't be eating those mushroom spores, and you shouldn't be doing that into the water heater or the water softener.
I think you misunderstand what fan mail is.
You're sorry. No, I'm not finished. This is where. They're
going to get to the podcast?
No. This is where you're a sorry excuse of a person. And you're impacting countless of innocent people with your actions. It's so fine. No, I mean, but this is the thing they say.
What do you think fan mail is?
No, but listen to this.
Okay.
They write,
There's more.
They write, sincerely yours. The Bucharest Foundation Association of the Steamworks. I think I'm in a building where there's a lot of men having sex with each other. And I might be living on top of the thing that cleans the waters in the steam.
Okay, so I'm sorry. What about that as fan mail, Teddy? That just sounds like a note that was left on the space that you're illegally occupying.
Bobby, they said sincerely yours. That means they're my friend.
Okay, well, fan mail segment that went off without a hitch. I'm gonna start clearing Teddy's stuff before he's presenting.
I'm sorry that my fan mail was better than your fan mail. Frankly,
that was terrifying.
Your guys' fan mail was kind of boring. It was kind of boring, and it sounds like that there's nothing there.
All right, well, okay. Hey, let's start the episode. What do you think?
Do this.
All right, well, I'm Bobby Pavlovsky.
And I'm Teddy Ronald Reagan Desmeggy.
And this is
JonBenét Todét.
Right, guys, welcome to a special episode. Teddy's got his red wine over here.
This is good, Bobby.
It's box wine. It's just box wine.
But it's red.
It is red, yes.
It's not green.
He's good with the colors, too, not just the shapes, yes.
Yeah.
But you might ask yourself, why are we drinking red wine? Why are we being bad? We're not ingrates. It's not because it's the daytime where we normally record. No, it's actually the night.
It's nighttime, ladies and gentlemen. Which we should let them know most of the time we record during the day.
That's true.
So this is a little bit of a special occasion with me and my friend Bobby.
Are we going to do it? You want to do your thing? He wants to do it.
I want to do it.
Okay.
It's welcome to JonBenét Todét tonight. It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
I think I like long titles.
I can tell because we can definitely take out a word or two. This episode's gonna be about the Burke theory, and special thanks to Reddit user KAS Morgan, who really put together a comprehensive 2-part post that make this a lot easier for me to go through different stuff about him.
Thank you, KAS. Thank you so much for making a post.
And we have so many facts here that we're gonna shoot them out. They're not gonna be in any sort of sequential order.
The most facts you've ever seen in your life.
We're just gonna throw fact and then about the thing. Fact. Boom.
Fact,
boom.
fact,
boom.
Fact. We're fax machines. This is the thing. You can't solve a murder unless you know the facts. The facts are the things that are known or the things that have been discovered. And I think Bobby has discovered some things. From what I've heard, and I'm really excited for us to do it.
Dude, we're doing it. So you guys ready for some facts?
Let me give me some more wine before I know.
Patsy?
So a lot of experts have said, and they were able to present this evidence for the grand jury too, that the enhanced version of the 911 call, at the very end, Patsy, they're saying that she forgot to hang up the phone or something. Because again, when you talk to 911, they normally try to keep you on the phone. They try to keep you on the phone, but Patsy says she hung it up. But you can still clearly hear something after Patsy thinks she's hung up, where you can hear, and we're going to play it again for you, but Patsy supposedly says, help me, Jesus, which you can hear that clear as day.
Help me, Jesus. She's religious. Okay.
But they're saying that you can hear then a man's voice say, we're not talking to you, followed by a little boy say, what did you find? Or something to that effect. Now, my opinion before you listen is you can definitely hear Patsy say, help me, Jesus. I've never been able to hear John on the enhanced one. I've even tried to do my own enhancement.
John would be the man's voice.
Yeah, and I don't ever hear that. But you can kind of hear a little kid at the end.
But just real quick, Bobbies, the grand juries, you're telling me they heard the enhanced version. This is not enhanced. And there was a different version, maybe from a cassette. And they heard the words better, and they said that they said the things that you just said that they said.
Absolutely, yeah. And he testified, which we'll get.
Grand juries, they see more evidence than the public gets to see.
Right. Yeah.
And they're kind of like private, top secrets.
And here's actually Burke. Here's a little snippet about Burke's testimony to the grand jury.
They heard testimony from Boulder police and from Lou Smith. Burke Ramsey also testified. According to police documents, he listened to the 911 call, and although he would not admit that he was in the kitchen when his mother made the 911 call, he told the jurors that it sounded like his voice on the tape. Then, 13 months later, the grand jury reached a decision.
And that decision, we remember, is that they chose not to go after them.
No, they chose to go after them.
The DA chose not to go after them, but the jury said they should indict them. They might be the criminals.
Okay, wait. All right, we've teased them too long. So we're going to go back. Here is that 911 call again with that enhanced knowledge, okay? We're looking for help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus.
Help me, Jesus.
Followed by a man's voice saying, we're not talking to you, or just talking. I honestly can't hear him at all. And then a little kid saying, what did you find? Or just a little kid.
Put your ear to the speakers.
Here we go, folks. Playing it again.
Patsy?
You want to hear it again, Teddy?
Yeah, but before we do, I just want to say I heard help me, Jesus.
You can hear that.
But the other voices, maybe they're happening at the same time, not after.
His I actually almost heard, I think, there. Or it's a thing where you just got to be listening very faintly for just like kind of a frequency change. I'm going to turn it up for us.
His being who?
John's, possibly.
John the dad.
John was definitely present, but they're saying that you can't, which is weird because, again, I can hear a kid kind of at the end. Let's see what you think.
Okay.
Patsy?
Is the little kid voice, is that the one who's doing the clickings? Because the Saskatchewan's wood tongue? Because that, if you translate that, I'm not as equipped with, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not as fluent. I'm not as fluid into it. I'm not fluent, Inuit. No, fluent.
Okay, it's not Inuit. You're not hearing Inuit. You're just hearing little clicks, and I know that's making you go back to your time in that Saskatchewan commune. But that's not what we're here for.
Well, I just want to say real quick. I just want to say, if you did translate it in that tongue, maybe it's a coincidence.
Yeah. What does it say?
They would be saying, "Help me, Denise. I took too many of my diuretics, and I'm bleeding out of my rectum and my face."
Okay, I know you were reading this squeaks differently, but it was interesting that you said chipmunks earlier.
Yeah.
Because
why's that?
Because here's Patsy on that 911 call.
Well, we have not heard the 911 tape, but we understand from people who have heard it that it sounds like a bunch of chipmunks chattering and that it is almost unintelligible. All we know is that Burke did not come downstairs that morning, nor did we say to him, go back, or whatever it is they say that it's said on the 911 tape. I phoned the police, called 911 from the kitchen telephone, wall phone, hung up, dialed one set of our friends, hung up, and dialed another set of friends and asked them to come quickly to help.
Well, you heard her. That's Patsy Ramsey setting the record straight, and she's letting everybody know that Burke wasn't in there. And why does it matter anyway, Bobby? If he was there or not, his little sister had been abducted or raped or murdered or sarcophagized or something. Why would it even matter?
That's a great question, Teddy. And the reason that it would matter is because Burke was supposedly asleep. The Ramseys maintained that Burke was asleep for a good portion of the morning.
Like people sleep at night, he was asleep.
Yeah, but he says, yeah, and that's the thing. So moving on to fact number 2 is Burke says that he was sleeping very strongly. Okay.
Strongly.
Yes. So that morning so he was just asleep while the police were there, all this commotion about the ransom, and when police show up. And that he didn't notice, he
didn't wake up to any of that.
No, he didn't notice. Well, then that's what they originally said. But then Burke also admits that he was, kind of fake sleeping, and that he remembered pretending to be asleep when a cop went into his room and he saw a flashlight shine around. He said he didn't know it was a cop at the time, but he just saw a flashlight around, but he pretended to be asleep.
How many cops were at that house? I imagine there were a bunch because they got big, heavy shoes. They're walking around. They're talking. There's things going on. Your mom's been screaming, But,
they're adamant that Burke wasn't a part of it. Because, again, it would also indicate that, if you can hear John on the tape saying, we're not talking to you, to Burke.
Oh, my God.
Like he did something,
He had stepped in the room and...
Exactly. And again, so this leads us now on to our third fact. Once Burke got awoken from his slumber, it was just to get him out of the house. Very early on that morning, Burke was escorted out of the house by the Whites, where they just sent Burke to go over there.
Fleet White.
Yeah, Fleet White.
John's friend.
Yes, good.
The one he was in the basement with when he found JonBenét's body.
So they got Burke out of the house. So police weren't able to talk to him there at all when it turned into a murder. Obviously, they probably didn't want him to be there.
So what you're saying, Bobby, you're telling me a lot of facts.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with you, okay?
This episode,
I think I can follow. And what I think is, what you mean to say is that the Ramseys are portraying that morning and Burke in that morning is that Burke was asleep until they woke him up for their friends, the Whites, to take him to their house where he was away from the...
Bless you. Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Fucking Christ.
Oh, my God. Note to self, try to keep the chicken under the chicken cutlet under the sun a little bit longer than... God, I was in a shaded area.
I told you to stop sun cooking chicken.
Sun cooking chicken goes back in my family, Bobby.
I teach him how to make sun tea once, and he's like, you could probably do this with everything.
You can do everything with sun. The sun is the source of all things in life.
It's fucking January.
Well... Anyway.
And that's the thing. The parents tried to shield him from the case, from the get-go kind of thing, where they tried to keep him away. They got him out of the house early.
Yeah,
they made sure he stayed in his room.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to the police then.
So he didn't wake up, they said.
And they got him out of the house, yeah.
They got him out of the house. They went over to their friend's house, the friends they were with the day before.
Exactly.
People that kind of close.
The third fact that we're currently on is that he was taken away from the crime scene.
Which is interesting, real quick, Bobby, because they had just had a kid kidnapped, and now they want the other kid out of the house, out of their sight. If I had a kid being kidnapped, I'm just going to be honest. I'm never going to be able to have kids ever since that accident at the plant. Right. But what I would have loved would be if in a situation where one of the children was missing, and then another child was still nearby, I would clutch them and hold them so close that their skin would start to burn against my hip bone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's why you don't have kids.
But instead, they took him over to a friend's house.
And I don't think it was, again, if you subscribe to the theory that John and Patsy had something to do with it, it's more of a calculated move to get him out of the house because you're not worried about an actual kidnapper, but they don't want the kids talking to the police.
Maybe he saw something. If they did it, maybe he saw him die.
Exactly. And so, but that's the thing. He didn't get to talk to the police there, but a detective did go over and interview him at the White residence. And the Ramseys actually were kind of mad about that later.
While he was over at that house?
Which I don't know if that's legal because he was underage and you needed consent, but... a
detective talked to Burke.
They got consent probably from the Whites. But yeah, they talked to Burke. That's where Burke had described seeing JonBenét the night before walking up the stairs with presents.
What?
Not being carried like the Ramseys have always said.
With the presents she wanted to play with or something?
Just presents from the...
She wasn't asleep. Well, Bobby... Yeah. If JonBenét's was maybe awake, like they all said, together the day after her possible death.
They said she went right to bed, but...
Well, later on they said she went right... But if she wasn't, completely deep asleep, maybe she did eat some pineapple. Maybe she snuck downstairs at some point, you know what I mean? And she was like, I'm still hungry, and I'm going to eat some pineapple.
Yeah, and that's actually our next fact, is that pineapple bowl, Daddy. So good segue.
Oh, my God, Bobby.
You know what a segue is? Because you just did it. You nailed it.
Look at me being a good partner.
Right? So she could have.
You love me, Bobby. You like me as a person.
Yeah, I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I needed your help for something, you would do it.
I feel like I already help you, but yes, if you require more,
I just might.
Short of some sort of organ.
Well, I mean, maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do something for you.
I'm just down to half a spleen.
But I appreciate you, and I'm so glad that I'm really good. I'm probably maybe even your better half in a way. Like maybe I'm.
You require a lot of self-assurance, don't you? Well,
I deserve it.
Yeah, and you do. And I'm sorry if you don't feel like I'm giving you enough. Can we stay on topic?
Sorry, pineapples.
Yeah. Well, so the pineapple bowl. That's the thing, is that like JonBenét's prints weren't on the bowl. There were 2 prints found on the bowl.
On the bowl.
Pineapple bowl that Patsy claims that she didn't prepare.
There were 2 prints.
Just to recap, if you guys missed that, JonBenét had pineapple in her system. They're saying she was dead asleep, and that was definitely in her system at least like a half hour before she died.
It wasn't digested yet. It didn't turn into poop, so it was at a certain point inside of her dead body where it was about 30 minutes after you first swallow the pineapple. It's known science by certain epidemiologists.
Absolutely. Thanks, Teddy, for that.
You're welcome.
So Patsy has always maintained that she didn't make a snack for these kids. She didn't at all. And also, if you look at it, it's kind of like a lot of pineapple. It looks like, too much.
It's like almost a whole pineapple.
It's like a kid prepared it. And also, Patsy has pointed out that the serving spoon that's used as the bowl for the pineapple is just too large. Again, like a child prepared this bowl.
Like it's like a spoon that you would use if you were having Thanksgiving and it was for one of the side dishes. You would put that in the green bean casserole, but instead it was put inside this bowl with a whole heap of big pineapple chunks in this milk, which is a dish that the kids liked and JonBenét liked and Patsy would make for them. But apparently the story goes, because now I've got suspicions.
She didn't make anything, which again, you can explain her out of the kitchen by saying the prints on the bowl from her were from putting away the dishes.
Whose prints were they? An intruder's?
I'm saying Patsy or Burke's. There's Patsy or Burke's prints on the bowl. So you can explain Patsy out of the kitchen by saying she was putting the dishes away because the housekeeper was out that week since it was Christmas.
That makes sense. She had to touch the bowl at some point.
Burke's prints would indicate that he did it. And Burke also maintains that he did not, make any pineapple that night. He didn't do a snack.
Interesting. But his prints were still on the bowls.
But it was in his system, so...
He had pineapple in his system too?
No, they didn't get to fucking test his system.
I thought you said his system.
No, not his system at all.
Well, either way, it's suspicious that there are different stories on the day after, day of whatever, than there are later on, and that there's DNA linking Burke to the bowl of pineapples that was something where the same pineapple that JonBenét had eaten in her body before she died 30 minutes later.
It's very fucking weird.
It almost makes me think that JonBenét's was awake. Maybe Burke's was awake.
Yeah, well, and it was interesting that you said the whole, did he have it in his system? Because it would have been great, not that they would have taken a fucking stool sample from him, but also being able to find out anything from Burke. Because we found out that there is from a now deleted Ask Me Anything on Reddit, this is our next fact, by the way. In a now deleted AMA, former Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner gave a talk to the Unresolved Mystery subreddit. He deleted it the next day, but this is from about 9 years ago. But in that AMA, we learned that they did not get to access any of Burke's. They did not get to access any of Burke's medical records.
They didn't get Burke's medical. AMA, American Music Awards, Dick Clark Productions.
No,
he was on the stage giving a speech.
Ask Me Anything.
Ask me anything. Ask him anything. Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner, and he said that they couldn't look at Burke's medical records because, well, why not? Because I would imagine that if you were charged with solving a case, what if the doctor was the kidnapper? You would want to see any bit of evidence that you could about anybody, especially the child's in the families.
It was probably because of the lack of evidence they had going after Burke, kind of thing. Where it's and also people listening to this should know that in the state of Colorado, a 9-year-old child, if they would have said, "Hey, Burke did this," a 9-year-old child would not be tried for murder. You have to be 10.
So obviously Burke couldn't have done it because if he had done it, they would have just gone ahead and say, "Yeah, Burke did it."
If they knew that,
or maybe if
it was embarrassing to the family to have that be known. But we'll get.
It is very biblical having one kid kill another kid. Dean Cain and Abel. You ever see that on TNT?
Dean Cain and Abel? Mm-hmm. That's not a show.
Instead of condemning me like I'm Judas, you maybe should admit that you were wrong about some things.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
I want to get back to the point.
Yeah, there's a show called Judas and Cain, or what is it?
It was Dean Cain and Abel, and it was about the brother killing another brother, and something with a goat trying to save Christmas. But the point being is that it's biblical. Having a kid to kill another kid, you'd be a social piranhas. You'd be a social piranhas if you'd be outcasted. And it's like losing Survivor in the 3rd episode, or maybe in the second to last episode, the penultimates, where they come so far, the Ramseys. The last thing that they would want is one kid to get killed, or them to kill a kid or whatever, or their kid to kill a kid, and then that other kid, like, they can't do anything with it because he's a killer. Everybody knows it.
It's super insightful.
I'm just thinking out loud.
But they couldn't get his medical records. But they did get, we got JonBenét's. And I was peeking through that, Teddy, the other day. And it's interesting the amount of times this girl visited the doctor in like a 24-month period. It was like 18 or so times.
24 months, that's...
She kept going
2
back
years.
to the pediatrician.
She went to the doctor, the pediatricians.
Oh, and also, by the way, not to stir up some drama, me have to get the fucking bleep button back out again, but she did have vaginitis. He treated her for vaginitis.
The irritations to another regions.
Yeah.
She had the puffiness in her.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Listen, I told you, and it's something that is a medical thing, but it's not common, and it's a sign that something's happening.
Maybe like just chill on saying it for a little bit. We'll get sponsors.
If John Marcotte can talk about what he talks about, I can talk about the facts of the matter because I'm a professional. That JonBenét's had a puffy. And it's not. She shouldn't have. She was a prepubescent child. It's disgusting. It's heinous, and it's a clue that whatever was going on in her life, or whatever the killer wanted to do to her.
No, it's typical. It wasn't a sexual thing. This is the same pediatrician that ruled her out for having any sexual abuse.
Okay, Paula Cole.
Okay, I'm just telling you. So
All right.
It's typical.
Let's stop talking about her puffy puss. And let's talk about other things. They had the medical records. She went to the doctor, 18 times in 2 years. That's a lot of times. Was she a sickly child or something? What else did she go for? Did she go for like anorexias?
It was like rashes, diarrhea.
Rashes?
Yeah.
What kind of rashes?
I don't know, just rashes.
Diarrhea. She had potty
trouble
issues.
Sleeping, yeah.
Trouble sleeping.
She had a cough, and shit, and diarrhea, rashes, vaginitis. The doctor did note, and this is going to be moving on to our next fact.
Her body was falling apart.
A doctor did note, moving on to our next fact, is that she did have a scar under her eye one of the times she had visited him. And that was from the incident, in our next fact, where Burke had previously hit her the year before with a golf club in the face.
Burke hit JonBenét?
Previously before, yes.
With what? A sword?
A golf club.
A golf club?
They said it was an accident. There's a family photographer also described the scene too.
Was it like a plastic Fisher Price golf club, or was it like a heavy Tiger Woods?
It was a real golf club.
Oh my God, Bobby! Burke hit his younger sister in the face.
They said it was an accident, but it wasn't enough for Patsy to take her to the hospital to see if she was going to need like treatment.
How big of a cut was it? It must have been pretty big.
It was a pretty big cut under her eye. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad it didn't take out her eye. Maybe if he was an evil child, like some people might want to paint him. I'm not trying to say that about my friend Brent Ramsey, the good son, the almond.
It's Burke Ramsey.
Burke Ramsey, we got to talk about Burke. Okay, those ones. And so the thing of the matter is that there seemed to be a medical recorded evidence and maybe even potentially a pattern of JonBenét needing medical attention. And though Burke Ramsey inadvertently or advertently, Calendar. Sorry, I'm just spitballing here, Bobby. Go with me on this. Maybe he liked hurting his sister.
I mean, it's a possibility. But when I look at that incident as a thing like that, I discredit that in saying that she did like sleeping in his room and stuff. And Christmas Day, while he was playing with his friends on Nintendo 64, her and her friends are making jewelry in his doorway. So it's not like a thing.
She liked being around them.
Yeah. So it's not, and they would sleep in each other's beds sometimes. So, or go into each other's rooms. So it's, it's a thing for me when I look at that psychologically. If he was like a menace, good son shit, I would be staying as far fucking away from that kid as I possibly could.
I mean, yeah, maybe,
so, point Burke.
Maybe he's sweet and sour.
Yeah.
Sometimes he gives her a little bit of a taste of some, patriarchal medicine, and sometimes he's really ginger.
As I'm saying this out loud, though, I'm realizing that we're just getting accounts from the Ramseys of supposedly they slept in each other's rooms.
Yeah.
And I got a problem with sometimes I keep taking them at face value with stuff they say. So,
That
no,
they
you
say
know
they
what?
don't
Maybe
know.
they didn't sleep in each other's rooms and maybe there was a different, actually, I think maybe the housekeeper said that.
It's good to question things. The housekeeper.
Yeah. I'll do a correction on it if not.
The housekeeper wasn't a
that
robot,
happened,
was
but
she?
They spent time together, no, she wasn't a fucking rosy robot. Jesus Christ.
I just want to make sure because my blood begins to boil when I think of that steel bitch. Listen, they've got a lot of beds in their bedrooms. There are two siblings that are close in age. They're under the roof in a really expensive house of a family that, I mean, honestly, I don't know. Did they spend a lot of time with other people? I never hear about JonBenét having any other friends.
Apparently
She's
she
probably
did
too
have
busy
a couple,
doing the pageant stuff.
a couple of friends, but she's a 6-year-old, so it's like more of like play date kind of stuff where you're forced to.
I would have been her best friend. I would have been a better friend to JonBenét's than you are to me, I would even imagine. And you're a great friend to me.
Well, again, according to some other sources, moving on to our next fact, she did like to play.
There's a lot of facts. I'm sorry, Bobby. That's a lot.
Facts are great, and we're giving them fast and hot to you.
You're
today.
a fax machine.
We're serving them up, so you can come to your own conclusion. But Jesus Christ,
I'm just.
no more green tea for you. Oh my God.
I know. Just the sugars.
So, no, them playing together. There was an account that had posted online that we can only determine probably was from the housekeeper about JonBenét and Burke playing doctor together. Here's the quote. I walked in on them 2 or 3 times when they were clearly playing some game like doctor. They were in Burke's bedroom and had made a fort of the sheets from his bed. They were under the sheets and Burke was really embarrassed when I asked what was going on. He was red in the face and yelled at me to get out. It happened about 3 times in the months leading up to the Christmas when JonBenét died.
So not only was JonBenét going to the real doctor, her brother was playing doctor too. This girl was having appointments up the wazoo. How do you even manage and schedule all that?
Right. That's wait, no, Burke wasn't a real fucking doctor.
I'm just saying. I mean, he's playing doctor. Maybe she wanted to play doctor because that's all she knows. She only is on stages and in doctors' exam rooms. But when people play doctor, Bobby, especially if they're underneath a fort of blankets and sheets and things, doctors, they examine their patients.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Sometimes you got to show them. Yeah,
that's true. Sometimes it gets weird, I guess.
Burke, I have vaginitis. Can you look at my puffy pissy lips?
Oh my God.
Let me set up my exam room because I'll play doctor. And
then the maid walks in. What are you doing, Sir Burke?
Like, get out of here, Juanita! God damn it! My shadow costs more than your fucking existence. Something like that.
You think he was a snotty little Brit?
I mean, he's hitting his daughter, his sister, whatever. With the thing. What is that?
It could have been an accident, but it was just more of an indication that there could have been something more going on in the house involving sexual abuse or something. Because again, this great post from K.S. Morgan. They have a thing called the Bonita Papers that they cite in here, and it's the child psychologist that interviewed Burke, Dr. Bernhardt, gave this quote. Dr. Bernhardt felt there needed to be more follow-up with Burke in the discussion of sexual contact. The only show of emotion by Burke, other than the irritation with the questions about the actual crime, was when Dr. Bernhardt began to ask about uncomfortable touching. Burke picked up a board game and put it on his head, an action indicating anxiety or discomfort with these types of questions, and that there was more he was not telling her.
So a professional doctor who's trained to study and analyze children's minds and their brains and the behaviors.
Yeah.
He said that the only times there was something different or than a regular kid, when he was talking to Burke at some point, was that when he was getting irritated, when he was being asked questions about the night of the murder, and when he was when they brought up something about inappropriate touching, like touching genitals, like Lena Dunham did to her little sister, and that she put in her autobiography, her memoirs.
Jesus.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lena Dunham. I read that book front to back to front. Well, I don't read it, but I look at the pages. And I think that's honestly probably better.
I mean, I think if Lena Dunham's sister ended up dead, she probably wouldn't have put that in the fucking book.
She put a turtle inside her little sister's pussy or something like that. The point being is that when they brought up something like that, inappropriate touchings, that he put a board game on his head, like he was almost trying to hide or he was getting anxious or something about it.
Little anxiety hat.
It was weird.
Just pick up whatever's near you,
it was
put
like
it on your head.
Performance art. Something people do it inside of a Japanese museum, not in a room that has, board games and building blocks and stuff. Probably bubblegum. I want bubblegum.
We'll get you some bubble
These
gum.
are interesting facts, Bobby.
These are, they're very interesting facts. And
Thank you, Mr. Reddit person who made that post. You're really sweet.
We appreciate you so much for putting all this information together because it's just it's a wealth of knowledge. And
there's people like us who are committed and determined to find the truth. So there are lots of people out there who got a lot of different facts, and we're just taking when we can verify. Cite the source. That's what they always say. I remember that. Right. That we do that process. Well, Bobby does it. But I see what he does. I see what he does with the Post-its. I see what he does with he's got a whole big map on this wall here where things aren't just, we're not just making stuff up. You know what I mean?
What are you talking about? That's a topographical map of Mount Rainier. That's not for the case.
Oh. Well, if you look at it from the side, it looks like Shaka Khan.
Wait, is that you that keeps putting the little thumbtacks in with the string?
No, that's me. You see the lip marks? That's me. I don't know who's doing the thumbtacks.
I know it's like a 3D map and you can touch it, but it's not a thing to put your mouth on.
Did someone say Edgar? No.
Okay.
No.
Nope.
Not right now, Edgar.
I have a restraining order against Edgar. So.
Can we talk about facts, Bobby? I need to concentrate on something else.
Absolutely. So with the child psychologist, this brings us on to our next fact, too. During that interview with the child psychologist, and this is shortly after JonBenét's murder, too, they asked Burke to draw a picture of his family.
Draw a picture with crayons and markers and stuff.
Right. And so he did draw, a picture, but it didn't have, JonBenet in it. And the child psychologist even asked him, he's like, was there somebody you forgot there? And he's like, oh, yeah, me. And then, he draws himself, but he doesn't ever bring up JonBenet, and it's so soon after a death. And Dr. Phil actually was Dr. Phil's hard-hitting questions, where this one was actually a pretty good one.
Did you consciously not draw JonBenet?
I don't really remember what was going through my head, but she was gone, so I didn't draw her.
Okay.
Fishy guy.
If you see the clip of this one, if you get the video, that's wow. He made the weirdest fucking face.
He sounded almost indifferent to the fact that she was dead.
Yeah, where it was like, well, she was dead, so why would I include him, bitch?
I shrugged my shoulders and looked to the side like I'm a little kid spilling peanut butter and jelly in a sitcom. Almost made for reality TV. Pains. Tracy Gold, she'd never put any peanut butter and jelly down her throat. She had anorexia.
Maybe Love on the Spectrum.
But Ben Server definitely did. And this reminds me of almost just like a really bad growing pains scenario, where
accidentally kill your little sister.
Well, it seems like there was an escalation of dysfunction there, and I don't know what brought it on or what the whole range and quality of it was, but I know that it wasn't not there. And there's enough professionals where if we put the pieces together and we work hand in hand with our friends in Reddits, we are painting a picture is sourced in facts of basically not a normal sibling kind of dynamic. Hey, by the way, do you got any extra socks?
Absolutely not.
The rats have been eating through all of my cotton, so I'm using a trash bag as underwears. And my feet are really soaking wet from the snow. I need some socks.
I'm not going to let you borrow any socks.
You said you would help me.
Oh, my God.
I know it.
Okay. I'm moving on to the next fact here. You ready, Teddy, to move on?
What's the next fact? That you're disrespecting me?
I'll get you some fucking socks, okay?
Thank you, Bobby. I'm so good.
Order you some on Amazon. I'm not giving you mine, though.
I'm ready for the next fact now, Mommy.
Sorry, please don't do that.
You got me in your fact now. I got my warm feeties.
Okay, so because we were talking about that Dr. Phil interview, there was a lot of backlash that Burke got because if you've seen that clip or any clips of him, there's a lot of YouTube documentaries. The next fact about him is Burke's got weird fucking body language. He's again with that whole board game shit, and the Dr. Phil interview, he's weird. He's kind of smiling a lot.
He doesn't know how
to be a person because he's kind of a recluse now, so I don't know if he's around people a lot, but he's kind of autistic, but his body language is,
He's no Barack Obama's. He's not,
No, they'll never be in that.
And he's also not like a
sex pot like that.
It's also a difficult subject, but he's smiling all the time, and it's just weird. It's almost like he doesn't take it seriously.
With his body language, and him being so weird and people being like, this seems like a weird reaction. I did track down a user on Reddit who they gave an account of, they knew Burke in college, actually.
Wow.
And so I'm not going to say the username because I don't know if they want this to be out there or whatever. But,
they said
it. You're right. So here's their account of Burke. He was very socially awkward and shy. I was fairly young during the time the JBR case was happening, so I actually had no idea who he was until senior year when our friend who was dating him filled us in. He was quiet, dorky, just overall socially awkward. And now years later, I've always wondered if that was always his personality or if it was born on the onslaught of media attention his family endured. Pretty much the guy you saw in the Dr. Phil interview is Burke. He acted that awkward and nervous talking about the weather. As far as my personal theories on the JBR case, well, I personally don't believe in any intruder, I'll say that. I've spent way too many hours in the depths of internet research trying to figure out if I spent 4 years hanging out with a key player in the JBR murder. It legitimately keeps me up at night. And they go on to add, also our friend said she would sometimes try and ask him about what happened, but he always refused to talk about it.
Whoa. This was a person who knew Burke Ramsey as a young adult.
I mean, they claim to. It seemed to check out. None of it was like, too exasperating. There's no reason to lie.
It's very specific, and it's not too, ridiculous.
That was from 7 years ago.
They're not saying I fucked the unicorn and, drank Fruity Pebble cum. They're saying, I went to college with this guy. I didn't know he was JonBenét's brother until my senior year. And I spent 4 years with him, and he acted this kind of peculiar.
All the time.
All the time with anything. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know what was the cause of what chicken or the eggs. But that he, even after knowing this guy for 4 years, can't rule out, actually, not just can't rule out, doesn't think that an intruder did it.
Apparently never fucking asked him about it. I would have got him fucked up. It's college,
I mean,
get him fucked up, ask him about it.
I would get so much pussy talking about how much I miss my dead sister. And I would be talking about that thing all the time. I would use the celebrity, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'd be kind of a weird celebrity where, people thought he did it as a kid. So what kind of pussy are you going to get when they think that, like, oh, you maybe killed your kid?
Chicks love sob stories. They love hearing stories of how you overcame something crazy, something very, hardball Keanu Reeves, difficulty challenge. No. And then, and you're sexy.
That kind of project, like, he won't kill me. But here's also an account of John with Burke as a little kid at a supermarket.
There was one day when he and Patsy managed to escape the paparazzi, and they made it to a grocery store, and there was a headline that Burke...
brother did it.
And he burst into tears.
Yeah,
well, what was his reaction?
Well, Burke's a very quiet, private person. We tried very hard to keep Burke's life normal, and that just was like a huge interruption to that.
I don't think you're getting a lot of pussy off that, being on Star. Maybe he did it. But, it is an interesting...
kinds of pussy out there.
Because his friend did bring up, is his personality like that because of the onslaught of media attention. But we were looking at private psychologist videos, and he was still kind of weird and squirmy and shit.
That's the thing. The
only difference with Dr. Phil is it looks like he's nailed to the fucking chair.
Yeah.
Like he knows not to fucking jump around and put a board game on his head.
The kid...
That would have been fucking funny.
Dr. Phil's
asking him a question, grown man, and he's just got Candyland on his fucking...
Stop grabbing... Where are these board games coming from? It's like at some point Dr. Phil's gonna be Colonel Mustard with.
And they were fucking doing those tricks during the interview too. You heard that, Teddy? Remember?
What kind of tricks? What are you talking about?
Little media tricks.
Oh yeah, the media tricks like the coughing.
The coughing.
Sometimes they cough so they can give like a cue to the person being interviewed, like don't answer that or don't say that, or maybe.
Or they coughing over the question, so they're like, oh, we can't use that take.
It's not a good take.
But Dr. Phil, they don't give a fuck over at that show. They used all those takes, but
yeah, the Ramseys do not. I mean, if they must have PR.
They do. They do.
Clearly,
days after the murder, they had a team of like 8 lawyers. Okay, they had a team of 8 lawyers. They had a publicist, their fucking doctor and shit like that.
They had their own for the Academy Awards Society,
right? And then eventually they added their own handwriting expert and private investigator. It's like they had a whole fucking team.
Fucking Santa Maria, fucking Pilgrims discovering Jamaica, fucking full of people working on behalf of making sure that when they're in front of the cameras. That what's being said and what's being talked about is what they are paying them to have.
And not just that, actually. They participate in, making sure the media gets stuff right via way of lawsuits. Because shortly after that Burke interview with Dr. Phil, this is moving on to a next little factoid here, is that Burke ended up suing CBS.
Now, 3 months later, Burke Ramsey is suing, saying the docuseries falsely implicated him in a crime he was never charged with.
That's right. The same network that put him on Dr. Phil ended up producing a docuseries, kind of implicated Burke in her murder.
Docuseries like a documentary?
Yeah, like a TV series,
But
like
more
TV
than one.
Yeah, they did 2 parts, and Burke ended up suing him for $750 million.
Burke sued them for $750 million for talking about him? Mm-hmm. Because why? They were saying that he was the killer?
Yeah.
Well, what did they have? Did they have any evidence?
I mean, they did talk about how the flashlight thing, let me just play a clip for you.
In my view, no doubt that this flashlight, or one exactly like it, caused that injury.
We're going to ask you to strike the skull.
Are you ready?
The series also recreates the force that a young boy could potentially inflict on a skull dressed in a blonde wig.
We're just going to peel this back, and you can see how it's broken. It's very similar to the type of break that we saw on JonBenét.
So they had also supposed that a 9-year-old boy, the force of that could have caused a very similar fracture to
With
the
a
skull
bad
in her
night
head.
flashlight. Mm-hmm. That was so similar. That looks like just that picture that you showed me of a skull.
Absolutely.
The crack, the line. It didn't bleed. It didn't break the skin. But and that kid, dang, that looked like it hurt. I would never want to get hit in the head with a flashlight, I tell you that much. And honestly, I could see myself at that age, I might have hit some people with flashlights. I didn't realize that it looked that bad.
No, yeah. I mean, I remember seeing a little girl throw a rock at her brother's head where I'm like, that was a big ass rock and you definitely could have killed him. But he lived.
That was a different blind side.
But, and this is the thing, his legal team here, Teddy.
Yeah.
We've got Mr. Linwood.
Linwood, D. Linwood. I'm speechless, Bobby.
And if you aren't familiar with Linwood, he is
he's a freedom fighter.
Yeah, well, no, he was Donald Trump's attorney. And he also is the one that tried to overthrow the election. I'm pretty sure he got disbarred for it, right? Or what?
Okay, now I'm gonna set the record straight. So he represented Donald Trump and the claims that of election interference, that Donald Trump was really the rightful winner of the 2000 election, and as a result of his, maybe the theory wasn't true. Maybe there was no evidence to support it. Maybe there were things that they did that they shouldn't have done.
As a result, what happened, Teddy?
Well, Mr. Linwood so graciously offered to retire and never practice law again in the state of Georgia.
Oh, voluntary disbarment. Cool. Oh, just in Georgia?
Well, he didn't want to be disbarred.
Wait, was it just in Georgia?
Well, that was in Georgia, and maybe in Colorado he was disbarred.
Oh, so he can't practice law anymore.
Well, not until Donald Trump is president again.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And that might be something
Teddy.
Will happen.
No, again, it wasn't just Linwood that he has as their attorney, the Ramsey family, because again, that's the one the Ramseys used too, not just for Burke. It was their attorney. They also retained the services of Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman.
Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman.
Yeah, they're a law firm out of Colorado that notoriously went on to also be the representation for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Who's Ghislaine Maxwell, the supermodel?
Jeffrey Epstein's, she's the lady that acquired the people for Jeffrey Epstein, fed the little monster island for the honeypot.
Oh.
So these, these attorneys that the Ramseys have, they represent, Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell.
They represented Ghislaine Maxwell.
Colorful group of people, just saying.
And, wait, Bobby, you're trying to tell me that the same lawyers who are making sure that the constitutional right of a lady who trafficked underage girls for Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't even ask what side you're on this one, Jesus.
Well, no, I'm not saying
no,
I don't like Ghislaine Maxwell. But you're saying they also worked for the Ramseys?
Yeah.
Patty, John.
Yeah, Patsy and Ghislaine.
All had the same lawyers.
Yeah.
Lawyers who will work with people who are evil or commit crimes.
You're seeing it now, yeah, exactly.
Expensive lawyers.
You're very fucking expensive.
And a lot of lawyers.
Yeah.
Powerful lawyers.
Yeah.
The same lawyers.
And publicists. A whole team, whole media thing. So it's like, again, they settled that CBS suit, but you got the best of the best behind you.
They're gonna pull every trick in the book to defend their client. And they they charge for it, that's for sure.
That's for goddamn sure they charge for it.
Wow. You think the Ramseys ever went to Jeffrey Epstein's island?
I don't think they were on the flight logs.
Maybe they drove. There is a foreign fraction out there to follow me and distress me.
BetterHelp.com. Daddy used to have a problem with gang stalking, and he did get help, much like the help you can get on BetterHelp.com. If you'd like to sponsor us, he worked through this whole gang stalking thing, and he seems to be regressing terribly.
I don't know if I got that help. I went on there, and they said they just kept closing the chat box. They actually said they were keeping a record, and that like someone from there that represents them legally was going to reach back out to me.
Okay, I feel like you're leaving a lot out of this.
Well,
you must have done something.
If they don't fucking help me, I'm gonna kill them. I'm gonna murder them.
You can't do that.
Well, then how am I supposed to get the help I'm supposed to need? Doesn't that just mean that I need help a lot?
You probably weren't even talking to a therapist. You were literally just talking to the AI chatbot on their initial website. You know that's not a therapist, right? You can't just start unloading on the AI chatbot when it's like, "Hi, what can I help you with?" And you're just like,
"Guess
my
what?
grandfather."
They need to hire a better AI chatbot because no computer should be telling me that they're disturbed. Okay, computers invented.
You got the AI bot to tell you it was disturbed.
I mean, the AI bot. The AI bot was clearly typing and then deleting what it was typing. And I just kept saying, I'm watching you. I'm looking at you. I said, you better help me or I'm gonna pull you apart with my fingers like bit by bit and look in your robot eyes. You know, I used to watch the Jetsons and grab pans from the kitchen when I was a baby. And whenever Rosie would show up with a little fat ass, I would fucking throw the pans against the floor, denting them.
Why?
Because I don't like the idea of there being someone telling me what to do and I can't hurt them.
BetterHelp.com.
Can I just say something about the election, the 2020 election?
God damn it.
Listen, it's just a real quick thing. I just want to make sure you know it's not about the politics. It's not about Donald Trump. I mean, you know, it's not about the person or it's about the principle where you got people like Linwood. Linwood he was an esteemed lawyer who could practice law in many states, but you can't anymore. But when he could, he was prolific. He was representing the Ramseys. He was very effective. He was good. His word meant something.
He was good.
Whether it was the truth or not, I don't know, but it meant something and it sounded convincing. He was good at his job.
He reminds me of Kevin Spacey from House of Cards.
Kevin Spacey, House of Cards, Kevin Spacey and K-Pax. He was the whole enchilada, Linwood. And when he said that the election was stolen in certain places that weren't real America and might have been a little bit too coastal, then I am going to just believe that there's something to that. And whether or not he was right, that's for God to know. Well, I shouldn't be turned into a Creighton or an out.
All right.
I shouldn't be turned into an outsider because I critically think and listen to people of esteem. This was all before it was proven that he was not telling the truth and he can no longer practice law and he's a disgrace.
This isn't a fucking political podcast.
I mean, we're talking about Linwood. I know a lot about Linwood. Linwood was he was made of steel.
Linwood Manuel Miranda.
Linwood wrote Hamilton. He wrote Linda Hamilton.
I know I got a bunch of Puerto Ricans up in here, and
got a bunch of Puerto Ricans.
Alexander Hamilton, he gonna be black because I think that's funny because he had slaves. And did you guys know that? Hey, PA, stop with your fucking drop. Did you know that Alexander Hamilton used to have slaves? But I'm gonna make Alexander Hamilton black.
Everybody used to have slaves. Everybody committed egregious sins. But this is the thing about history is that people are never perfect, and sometimes even people who mean to be good, they're victims or they're signs of their own times. And we do. In hindsight, we progress and we recognize that was wrong. They didn't know that necessarily. Maybe if the Ramseys did kill the kids, they were like, we didn't know that was wrong. But because they did that, now we know, hey, maybe, little blonde girls should be.
They didn't know it was wrong?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, does that eliminate all the other good things they've done in their lives, being pillars of the communities?
Killing their daughter, yes.
Killing their daughter, making companies that have a lot of money, and
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But where do we go on this?
All I'm just saying is that just because the Ramseys and Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell all have run in the same circles in some ways, legally speaking, doesn't necessarily mean that they are pedophiles or
no. And I wasn't saying that. I just thought
murderers.
Again, we're just presenting the facts to you guys. That's what's going on here.
But, yeah,
we just thought it was an interesting anecdote that some of you might like to know that the Ramsey legal team.
You wanted facts, you got it.
Yeah, consisted of, Ghislaine's lawyers and the guy that, helped Trump almost overturn the election.
The people who enjoy those kinds of clients.
Yeah. And, so moving on to what we're going to go on now to is your favorite stuff, Teddy. The poop stuff.
Nutella?
The poop stuff.
Oh, it's poop colored.
It's poop stuff.
Well, poop stuff. I do like poop stuff. I'm getting a little bit more into barf stuff.
Every time I let him see my phone,
there's a lot of poop stuff in this, Bobby.
You just Google, like I check my Google history and it's just butt stuff.
It's butt stuff. It's Scatman Crothers. It's different things, you know.
Poopy butt stuff.
I'm a Scatman.
It's like I gave it to like a toddler who just like is way too into poop.
I'm not the only person who makes poop, but I'm not the only person who plays with poop. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be shamed for something that's natural and normal and biological.
You are when I can still see it under your fingernails.
It's just like when I eat my boogers. You're going to be mad that I'm also squishing my poop between my fingers and making them look like worms.
Do it when I can't see it. I don't know why you just do it. Like have a little bit of shame.
Well, you can either refill my sandbox because... You know,
that wasn't a sandbox. That was my Zen garden that you ruined with your fucking boogers.
Listen,
every time I put the rake through there, it's not that peaceful when I get fucking boogers just clogging up my little wooden rake.
You need to find your Zen through that. That's the whole point, Bobby. You know, we're getting distracted, but I do want to just say, if the lightning hadn't struck twice in that Zen garden and turned all that sand into glass that spelled "kill yourself," I would still be out there playing with my pope. But instead, I've been asking you very politely for a long time. Please find an ocean shore. Please just grab a bucket and grab some sand, some topsoil even. Just give me something that isn't shards of cursed lightning glass. A booger ashtray is better than what I got now. I hate sitting on hard surfaces when I'm playing with my feces, with other animals' feces. They call it scat when it comes out of an owl.
Yeah, and that's what we're going on to.
That's also the sound the owl makes when it has a really hard turd. It's like scat.
That's enough. Okay.
You know me and owls. I'm not a big fan.
We're breezing through these facts. We're almost done. Okay?
Exactly.
We're almost done. So the poop stuff is that apparently Burke had a problem with scatolia, which I guess is like the...
Scatolia? What the hell is scatolia?
I don't know. There was an incident, I guess, a year or two before where Burke had smeared shit all over the walls of his room. And also, there was an oversized pants found in JonBenét's room that had poop on it. Like feces on it, but it was kind of smeared in. And then also she had a candy box in her room that kind of had feces smeared on it. Whereas maybe somebody came in with their poopy shit pants and then smeared it on her candy box.
On a chocolate box? What's a candy box?
And then she chased him out, you know?
Is a candy box like a box of chocolates?
I don't actually fucking know. Maybe it was a 90s thing, but I didn't have one.
This is a house of poop and pineapple.
It's not a jewelry box, it's a candy box.
Poop on the walls, that's the thing. Here's this big old house with all these walls and all this money.
Too, you know?
I mean, she's breathing in scat fumes. She's probably coughing all the time because there's fucking shit on all of their items around there. Not even the walls are safe. I bet there was.
I mean, it was cleaned up. So
can you imagine Nightmare on Elm Street's Johnny Depp when he turns in that geyser of blood shooting out of that bed? If it was shit instead, that could have been this. That's what this was on track to be, and it's almost a courtesy from God. It's almost a grace from the angels that JonBenét.
A hole is not going to open up in any of their beds, and shit fountain's going to come out.
It happened in Poltergeist.
You're doing hyperbole again.
I'm not talking about hyperbole. I'm talking about.
There wasn't that much poop, okay, but there was, some poop involved, which is, indicative of, a bigger psychological problem.
I mean, but if you can grab poop and bring it to a wall, you're holding on to it, you're dealing with it for a long time. It started in a bathroom. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. We don't know if he started in the bathroom and started smearing from there. I think he might have just been poop. And then he smeared.
He could have pooped in the bedroom or whatever where it was.
Pants and smeared it. I don't know.
The fact of the matter is, Bobby, real quick before we talk about the next fact.
When it's not the next fact, it's the same fact.
Oh, what is it?
No, keep going.
I was just saying that there is a non-zero reality, a non-zero percentage of that poop at some point was on the walls of this house, that it was on the very walls of this house, that it was on things in JonBenét's room.
There's poop everywhere.
Well, I'm talking about the significance of the fact that I didn't grow up with a lot of stuff, but I also didn't have a lot of poop on that stuff. Right. I still kept it in the commode, or I kept it in the bathtub, or I kept it in the pool, or I kept it in the dishwasher.
All of those are wrong.
I'm just saying.
But I thought
she was really nice. Her name was Marie, the dishwasher.
What's interesting also with the poop stuff is I found in reading different testimonies from Patsy just how she treats Burke's issues versus JonBenét's issues. Because JonBenét was known to have potty issues that some relatives have said, she needed help wiping and stuff like that.
Wiping her front or her back?
Probably both.
Yeah. Both. She couldn't reach. Yeah. She had little arms.
No, not that. She just somebody wasn't training her right. And they, again, there's also the stuff where they found the feces stuff in her room.
Yeah.
And then also the possibility one of those pants were from Burke.
I've also seen a dance choreography. She isn't really as well coordinated as maybe a Miss America America should be at that age. So I could see where she has issues where she could be trying to reach for her butthole. Maybe she thinks it's a big crack like I did. She can just start at the top. And instead she's like, maybe cutting her own face underneath her eye, and maybe it wasn't a goal.
And the housekeeper has talked about how they've heard Patsy like punishing JonBenét for her potty issues. And
admonishing her. Yeah. Yelling at JonBenét because she keeps having potty issues.
Right. And when Patsy was officially questioned, about all of that with, stuff JonBenét's, potty issues that they've been hearing about from different witnesses, Patsy basically just explained it away as like, well, all kids, that age have, potty issues. She made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal.
Wasn't a big deal.
Sure. But then when they also, in a separate interview, had questioned her about that basement toilet, because normally the basement area was where Burke and his friends hung out in the train room. There was a toilet down there that had, a poop in it too. And it was still fresh. And when they questioned her about it and they said, was this Burke's? And she's like, well, no, I think it was Evan or some other kids, one of Burke's friends.
She didn't want anybody to think that Burke didn't flush the toilet.
Right. And it was the thing where she said it was one of them, and the detective says, well, could it have been Burke? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, well, why'd you say the other kids? And she's like, well, because the mother never likes to think that, it was her kid.
Oh, interesting. It sounds like even if it's a kind of a normal thing, sometimes you forget to flush the toilet. You get in you go into another room, you make yourself a sandwich, you come back, you realize, oh, I didn't wash my hands, I didn't flush the toilet. But she didn't even want Burke to be associated with something like that, and out of step with just, something that's almost just
out of hope. Just out of hope.
Out of hope. I thought you said out of pulp. I was like, yeah, sometimes I might make that toilet bowl pretty pulpy.
So a good note too with the potty issues too. My thoughts on that too is she was also seeking. This was from a family member who said she was seeking help up to 6 years old, getting stuff. And I'm thinking, maybe the vaginitis could have been caused by,
of course,
these stuff to her areas, like somebody just wiping too hard out of anger.
Oh my God.
Because if she continues to have the issues, obviously nobody's training her how to get better.
You're exactly right,
They're just
Bobby.
punishing her for doing it.
Just rubbing that toilet paper into a pubic mound like it's sandpaper against a duck's
just annoyed
underbelly.
that they have to do this, and maybe they had company over, and JonBenét calls out.
I'm so fucking sick of. I mean, you go to the bathroom every day, multiple times. Kids go all the fucking time, Bobby.
But they're not correcting it, is the thing. And I'm saying, so, it could have been from aggressive, wiping, is what I'm saying, too. So I just thought that was an interesting note. But yeah, that's it for the, the poop stuff.
Well, I just think that the poop is pivotal in
pineapples and poop.
Pointing out the perpetrator of this very perplexing proposition of a public.
He's just doing alliteration.
Hold on. A public play of intrigue and murder.
Nope. Okay. See, well, you had it at the beginning.
I'm sure if you thought
about it more, but yeah, you did pretty good under the circumstances.
I should charge. I'm gonna cash. I'm gonna Venmo request you $4 for that, because I think I'm with some money.
All right, and then another interesting fact about the case we have is that when Burke was asked, possibly as a child, in an interview with one of the detectives,
he was a child for a long time. Burke.
In an interview with one of the psychologists. Yeah, he was a child for a long time.
I'm just saying,
until
he was like a child for years.
10. But yeah, they were asked him, how do you think JonBenét died? And Burke had like a little toy in his hand, and he's like, I think maybe someone just came up behind her, and then he made like a motion that
like
strikes down on the head.
Oh my God! Like they struck her with an object,
right?
And he did the same kind of gesture that it looked like that little boy did when that little boy was asked to hit that doll with the Maglite flashlight.
Exactly.
And it cracked the skull of the little doll girl in a very similar fashion that you're saying that Burke basically said that maybe she died that way by being struck on the back of the head in that fashion. I mean, you're telling me all these facts.
I know.
And I was so excited just about facts.
I know, and and we still got just a few more. All right, so we're gonna move back down to the basement again.
Oh my God.
Okay. So we got the crime scene. Okay, there was a boot print found near her body. That was a high-tech boot print. Okay,
I remember that.
That they did
in the wine cellar.
Right,
there was a boot print.
Right, and they asked Patsy about it if she ever bought Burke those boots because they traced it to being about his size.
She said no.
She said no. It did turn out that Burke did have a pair of that.
He did
boots. Yeah, so.
He had a pair by the time that print was made. He already had a pair.
But that print could have came from any time, technically.
Why would Patsy say something different?
She just didn't remember the exact brand is what she's saying. And you know what? I kind of get that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'd be able to remember the brand.
They probably have so many different types of shoes, too.
Exactly.
You know, and what are they doing asking her? Why don't they just look through their closets? You know,
exactly.
Sometimes I think they just want to ask these people questions so they can make them upset rather than just doing their fucking job and going to the places and looking at the things, you know, with just by themselves.
Exactly.
But
and then so also near the boot print in the same room, that it doesn't seem to have any, you know, connection to the crime necessarily, but we can't rule out anything. There was a pocket knife that was Burke's. That
a pocket knife?
Yes, but that's not necessarily used in the murder.
With a big blade or a little blade?
It was a little blade. It was like a little Swiss Army pocket knife. That whole area was kind of in disarray and disgusting. But his pocket knife was found down there.
What if I had a pocket knife in my hand and I was trying to get someone to go with me somewhere? I would hold it out like, I'm going to jab you with this if you don't follow me where I want you to go. But why would I ever take him to a basement? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm trying to put myself in the victim's shoes and in the killer's shoes if the killer's was potentially Burke's, which I'm not saying it is, but
that's true. That's true. And you know, it could have been could have been used to cut that cord that was around the neck.
The nylon cord.
The little knotted up garrote.
Oh.
But you know, maybe not. But also the thing now, next fact with that little that garrote.
More likely a knife than a spoon doing that.
Right. But the little knot around the paint handle. Patsy has tried to suppose in one of her first interviews with police that this was a part of her morning routine. This was, you know, a year after the murder.
Okay, now I get up usually a little before 7 and get Burke rallied and get him ready for school and get his breakfast and pack his backpack and make sure he has his homework done and tie shoes and...
Get him going.
Get him out the door, yeah.
So Patsy's indicating that now... 10-year-old Burke is still unable to tie his shoes for no reason. She's kind of throwing that in there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, John's always suggested that he wasn't very good at sports. Or that he wasn't very strong. I'm sorry. They've always said he was good at sports, but like, no, great. He's an average athlete. But John suggests that, you know, a very strong man had to have caused that blow, but not
that Brenton was too weak. Burke.
Exactly.
And that he also didn't even know how to tie his own shoes, or that Patsy wanted to tie his shoes for him.
Right. That's the thing that she's supposing that maybe he didn't know. But the thing is that Patsy has mentioned in previous Christmas letters that Burke has been learning how to sail with John.
Christmas letters? What are those?
She sends out these fucking Christmas letters like people give a shit about your family. Oh, yeah,
she writes about her family?
You don't ever get Christmas letters?
No. What?
Oh, well, people like update on the Facebook.
Which letter? There's 26. You got to be more specific.
I don't know. Thank God. The only good thing that came out of Facebook is that people stopped sending. I mean, you got less.
Facebook is a Christmas letter every fucking day.
Exactly.
With people that you really don't want to hear from. It used to be you only had to hear from them with one letter a year. Now you got to hear them out every day. And now they think that their opinions, because they have access to your life, matter.
Yeah.
And
but it used to be once a year.
You know, I'm just a little bit too of a lone wolf to just to even be on Facebook, let alone they denied my registration because they said I'm a menace to society and there might be some priors. But the point being is this, I think I don't even want Facebook. I don't even want to talk to my family because, you know, they're just, I didn't want to, you know, hold on.
No, okay, that's not the point. The point is that I'm talking about is in the Christmas letters. She says that he's learning how to sail, and in order to do that, you need to learn how to rig
a sailboat,
which means you need to know how to do knots and shit.
Sailors tie knots all the time.
Exactly. Burke was, you know, he's very into engineering and stuff. You know, he liked to build Legos and stuff and the train tracks. And
he loved
the night of the murder, he was supposedly building a little elevator car shaft thing.
He got a toy of an elevator for a car parking garage thing from Fisher Price, and he had a fucking room in the basement called a train room.
We don't know if it was the Fisher Price one. There's three options. We don't know which one it was, but we
don't know just yet. But we're gonna get down
the
to the
Fisher
bottom
Price one looked the least complicated.
We're gonna have a special episode about which toy it was, and it's gonna take. And we're gonna have a telethon. Hey, the point being is that he had a train room. It wasn't a training room like a gym, and it wasn't a room where people got gangbanged, particularly homosexual.
No, the point is that he learned how to tie knots. He knew how to tie knots.
He knew how to tie knots because he liked to sail, and his father was a sailor. They liked the ocean. They liked the waters. They were gonna go on a cruise after Christmas, and they know how to tie knots so they can even navigate and even use the sailboat. You cannot be on a sailboat and man it and not know how to tie a knot. And guess what? A knot was tied on the garrote that was around JonBenét's neck, on a nylon cord that was torn, and in the same room, feet away from a pocket knife that was owned by Brent Ramsey's.
Yep. And next fact, and if you want to add this one to your list, is the blue fibers that were found on JonBenét's body. That it matched. It was in the the genital region. There was some blue fibers that were consistent with like a cotton, like could have been like a cotton cloth,
like strings. Fibers?
Just like, little tiny fibers, but yes.
Not cereal, not Fiber One.
No, not
blue
stuff
fibers.
Not stuff to make you shit, yeah.
The stuff that Muppets are made of, Cookie Monster.
And that's only interesting in that Burke's account of what he was wearing that night was some fuzzy blue pajamas. They were never able to get clothing samples from him either, but...
He had fuzzy blue pajamas.
And it matched up with the,
Interesting. Was he wearing those fuzzy blue pajamas when he went over to the White House the next day, or had he changed clothes? I'm curious to know what clothes people will wear.
They probably sent him with his stuff, maybe, because she had already packed all their stuff and put it in John Andrews' room. So.
And fuzzy blue pajamas, you don't hear about that every day, and yet there was blue fibers above the pussy, on the underwears, in the front of the underwear.
Yeah.
Where you would open it. I mean, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that's the point I'm trying to make. But yes,
we got to play the doctor.
It's not saying it's not saying it's his or anything. So but another interesting.
It's not taupe
basement clue too.
Yeah,
they're gonna go ahead and add to the list here is that there was some slightly unwrapped gifts because again, this is the room where Patsy hid gifts, and they were still planning on taking a few gifts up with them to open up another Christmas morning with the rest of the family at Lake Chevreau or whatever.
They still had presents from Santa and Patsy that weren't yet opened.
Well, no, that's the thing. One of them was open as if some kids were peeking down there. And it looked like it was a present for Burke. It's this big Lego set. Because again, this guy, he liked to build stuff.
The wrapping paper had been torn or something.
Yeah. And you can see this Lego set. Like somebody peeked at the gifts. And Patsy said she was wrapping that day. The day of, the Christmas day, because she was wrapping, prepping stuff, and her little wrap station was down in the basement.
Oh yeah, it was in there, and that was probably where the box with the paintbrush was in the wrapping room.
No, it was right outside the wine cellar. It was in the boiler room.
Oh, that was in the boiler room?
That was in the boiler room.
That was in the boiler room?
That was in the boiler room.
This is interesting. So you're trying to tell me that maybe just like kids want to do, they want to try to find where the presents are. They're curious, and they open presents on Christmas Day. But they may have had more presents, especially transportation-themed Lego set presents that Brett, he liked that kind of stuff. And those presents were in that room where Patsy keeps presents.
That's the thing, though. Now that I'm putting myself in their shoes, though, say you are a kid that's peeking, say you pull that off thing too much. What's your end game there? Are you gonna try to fix it? Are you gonna blame somebody? Are you gonna come clean to your parent?
That's a good question.
Maybe JonBenét opened the wrong one and came clean. It was
maybe she shouldn't have opened the present at all, and that's why there's only one that was partially unwrapped because she got too excited
and realized, well, that was not for me. But
and then Burke got upset, and then.
Yeah. Last thing about the basement, that broken window,
by the showcase.
Yeah, the one that John had talked about where he had to slip in through.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it turns out that John originally was just saying that for himself, and then it wasn't until later that Burke was just asked if he knew about the whole John having to break in thing because Burke was at camp, but they were really just asking
what do you remember?
Did you know about your dad breaking into the thing?
Yeah.
Burke inserts himself into the story and says, "Oh yeah, I was there." Almost like that had never been brought up before. John had never said he was there, but Burke did it. So then after that, John had to start saying Burke was there too.
He said that Burke was there with him?
Mm-hmm. And, that's it for, most of the, the more relevant facts.
Whoa.
But, one little anecdote that I want to point out that I found while, researching this stuff is in a Patsy transcript. She talks about, they talk about what kind of TV shows they would watch. Like, Burke loved Discovery Channel. And he would try to stay up late to watch it. But, they always wanted him to do 30 minutes of reading before bed. But Burke also had a TV in his room that she said didn't have cable, but Burke loved to, watch tapes in there. And the only tapes that he had in there were these flight instruction tapes.
Wow.
Because he wanted to learn. And Patsy explains, it's because, John loved to fly. Yeah. So Burke was really trying to, get into, planes and sailing and yachts and stuff, just like his dad.
He was watching videos that pilots watch?
Yeah, well, it was like flight instructions. You know how to fly a plane.
So
and
they
shit.
could like soar, take to the skies, and leave the world behind, and make his father proud or something like that.
Right, and also
I made that. I'm driving a plane.
Right, and there was two friends I noticed that were over there. I've been trying to research anybody I can in this, just so I'm not going to dox them. But there was two friends he had over there that were
Very
brothers.
respectfuls.
That were brothers. That I looked it up, and they're actually they're working in aerospace now. So it's like I think Burke had a little friend group that were all kind of interested in that, which is I don't know if that's just bred out of Boulder. But
They had similar interests. Yeah. Well,
And
I mean,
so
Colorado, the Air
cool.
Force is in Colorado.
Oh, what is it? Just based? Do they?
There's big bases in Colorado.
Oh,
Absolutely.
shit. All right. Well, then yeah.
Including the Denver International Airport.
Yeah, but so they both have a career in that now, and Burke is a work-from-home software engineer.
Their childhood dreams came true, and Burke is pressing Alt-Tab-Delete.
I mean, I think there's more to it than that. He's probably coding and stuff, but
Coding in
I
a
just
room
thought that
by
was an
itself in the
interesting.
dark,
I
in
think
the
that was an
quiet.
interesting,
Well, I don't know if
character
I don't-
arc for Burke.
I mean, you said he wanted to be a sailor, he wanted to be a pilot. Instead, he sits at a computer chair doing probably important work that makes him a lot of money or something. But I'm just saying, like,
At home by himself, yeah.
it wasn't what his father may have wanted him or bought those tapes
You know,
to.
it's hiding the beast in the tower kind of shit. You know?
It's also sad because it almost makes it sound like he wasn't as qualified, or maybe, you know, I
There's
feel
no way he
I
wasn't
I want to
qualified.
be sensitive as someone else who is a little bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Reject. I understand how it feels when other people are more successful or more competent or more brain-wired right to do things that maybe sometimes I want to do. Just because I don't, not all the cylinders fire in my engine doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I don't dream or have fantasies of doing amazing things that I just know also at this point in my life, at the age of 44, that I can't do it. And Burke just couldn't do these things. Or maybe because he killed his sister.
They didn't want him to. Because let me tell you what, if I was his dad, I'd be like, oh, you want to be like me? You're nothing like me.
You're not like me.
I don't think so, son.
You're a sister killer, you piece of shit.
There's no way they didn't have the resources to make whatever career he wanted to have happen in there.
We don't want you talking to no one for the rest of your life because we can't even trust that you won't admit the truth accidentally like you occasionally have on occasion in these documented moments that Bobby just compiled in this episode for the first time in histories, with special thanks to our friends from Reddit and other places.
Special thanks.
So we want you by yourself, isolated, nondescript, without any way to reach you from anybody in the media, the public. Like, we don't even want to talk to him. But also, it's like,
I would love to talk to him.
I sometimes think that when he doesn't say things, he says even more.
Yeah.
Because some people, if you had the body language, if you had accidentally, even maybe purposefully, but if you had ever committed something, a crime against another person that you never wanted, you're counting on your livelihood and your freedom and your indignity in other people's eyes, that it can never be revealed. That eats away at your nervous system, at your psyches.
Yeah.
And Dule Hill and that other white dude who isn't Paul Rudd, they cannot solve their way out of that kind of mystery. Like, you have to, you're gonna live with it, and it's part of you now. It's like a symbiote.
I did not understand that reference.
It's from the show USA Today, where the guys were solving crimes and they're psychics and everything. And
it's called USA Today.
It's called Psyche, and it's
Psych.
Psych.
Yeah,
there's an E at the end of it, Bobby, or should I say Bob?
Jesus.
Point being is that maybe he's almost condemned to a life worse than death.
That's what I'm thinking too. You know, no matter what, if if we don't ever know the truth, possibly, that's the thing. But you know the truth, so whoever actually did it, it's a thing, and I think that's worse. So
I'm very, very sad for Mr. Burke.
Burke, you just said he did it.
Burke, Big Brent. Well, I mean, I'm sad, but I don't know quite because I don't understand. I mean, he's little. There were a lot of things that happened. I don't know what his handwriting looks like.
Well, that's the thing, Teddy.
What?
That's the huge thing with this case. It's like, no matter what you believe, after all we talked about, a lot of this does build a convincing argument. Maybe he did do it, sure. But he didn't write that note. So no matter what, somebody else helped him.